Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for the 5th installment of our Shattering Glass Ceiling speaker series. My name is Michelle Armstrong, and I serve as the Executive Assistant to the Lodi Unified Board of Education. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Ms. Gloria Salazar. Ms. Salazar assumed the role of the San Joaquin Regional Transit District's Chief Executive Officer in our January 2020 with over 28 years of experience in the transit industry. Her leadership as Deputy CEO, CFO for 18 years greatly contributed to RTD receiving the coveted Outstanding System of the Year Award by the American Public Transportation Association in 2018. In her first year as CEO, Ms. Salazar led her team to thoughtfully and significantly adjust the operating budget and service to minimize the impact of COVID-19 to the organization while preparing RTD for recovery and sustainability. Informed by her prior finance experience, Ms. Salazar designed effective business processes and implemented robust systems such as initiating a financial reporting system that earned RTD a Government Finance Officers Association award for 17 consecutive years. Ms. Salazar currently serves on the California Transit Finance Corporation board and teaches for University of Pacific and previously for Willamette University for their paratransit management certificated program. In 2017, Ms. Salazar was also honored by the Central Valley Asian Chamber of Commerce for breaking through the glass ceiling in her leadership and community service. Born and raised in the Philippines, Ms. Salazar finished her bachelor's degree in accounting, magna cum laude. She left behind an already illustrious career as a certified public accountant in 1987 to come to the United States, rising through the ranks at various firms while completing a master's in business administration degree. She also passed all parts of the uniform CPA exam in her first sitting. With that, please join me in welcoming Gloria Salazar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here today, and I wish to share with you my stories, and hopefully they will not be depressing but uplifting. So when we turn back the pages of our life and reminisce, we realize that things happen for a reason. We would not know it then. But when the future comes, and some future is right at this very moment, we realize that the dots eventually connect. And there is an order of things, and they need to be in the right sequence in order for things destined to be done to actually get done, and for events written to happen to actually happen. And every chapter of our life revealed golden lessons. Now, what to do with those lessons when they reveal themselves to us is up to us. That's when the good is separated from the wise. Our disposition in learning from our failures and challenges eventually become a part of our definition of who we are as a human being, as a leader, as a follower, as a wife, mother, sister. So I came from very humble beginnings, born and raised in the Philippines with 2 siblings. We didn't have much as a family. We were not starving poor, but we just had enough for our daily subsistence, enough to have new clothes for Christmas Day and New Year's Day. I can say with a lot of certainty that I had a happy childhood. I'm sure my siblings will say the same thing. My parents, who are now both deceased, instilled in me the value, and my siblings also, the value of education, that to really be free from the bondage of ignorance, blind dispositions, and a future without any vision, education is a requirement. They worked hard to make sure we were equipped with a silver bullet. My father worked for a university and targeted a university for an employer to ensure we finished college, because all he had to do was to sign a loan document for tuition and not to have to come up with a lump sum amount. When things got tighter, he even worked in a foreign country for 5 years and had to be away from his family for a $500 a month salary. My mother did her part. She, my siblings, and I began making peanut candies and coconut desserts to sell. And along the way, I remember them instilling in our minds the importance of honesty, integrity, fair competition, and courage. My parents were ahead of their time, I must say. While their generation's culture embraced men to be the breadwinner and the women to be the housemaker, they instilled in us independence. And specifically for me and my sister, my father once said, a woman can only say she is independent if she is earning. I also remember my dad used his bonus pay by purchasing a used typewriter. He drew in a cardboard paper the layout of the keyboard, posted it on the wall, and taught us how to type by looking at that cardboard paper and not look at the typewriter. Now, we call it a sophisticated term, keyboarding. So, long before these computers came about, we, the three siblings, could type by touch. So as I was maturing, I began to see the reality of life, especially in our country. Fear of poverty embraced my being, and that ignited the fire of competitiveness in me. I was not going to fail my parents and waste their sacrifices. They had become my inspiration. All these have been the reasons for my sense of focus, for doing more than 100% of whatever I do, for having a sense of urgency on things I want to achieve. And as you reflect in your own life, something motivates you and or someone inspires you. Whatever it is or whoever he or she may be, use it to achieve your own defined success and happiness. So how did I become an accountant? Which high school graduate would know what accounting means? My dad said to me, Gloria, take accounting. It's a poor man's course. If something happens to me and you're not able to finish college, you can at least get a job as a bookkeeper. So I did. I became a certified public accountant and worked for the biggest CPA firm in the Philippines, and eventually worked for the Central Bank of the Philippines, which is the equivalent of Federal Reserve here in the United States. Before migrating to the United States, I became a Christian, and that even helped me a great deal as I ventured in a different country with different culture, different language, different opportunities, different ways of doing things. And throughout my career, because of that spirituality, I have learned to accept my limitations, not rely on my own understanding, and not be wise in my own heart, because there is a higher power that would provide me with guidance, wisdom, and anything else that's beyond my own ability. Then my destiny brought me to the United States of America, the country of opportunities where immigration is respected and diversity is embraced. I came here, but I was ripped off of my CPA designation for lack of transferability. I also started my own family. I had to start from the beginning in my career, but I set my goals to reclaim my designation and more. I passed all 4 parts of the CPA board in first sitting, became a CPA, and finished my master's degree. Again, that fear of poverty drove a lot of energy in me. It gave me a sense of focus, the will to be competent, and more importantly, to set a vision for my life, and not just for me anymore, but for my entire family. So you see, I was motivated and driven by different things at different stages in my life. Fear of poverty for myself, my parents, and siblings as I was going to school in high school and college, that motivated me to study hard, that I graduated with honors. Fear of poverty for my kids that motivated me to be competent and valuable in any organization I worked for, so I could be promoted and be able to provide for my family along with my husband. And now, I'm not motivated by fear anymore, but by the desire to move forward the mission of our organization, the San Joaquin Regional Transit District. Take care of the employees, take care of the customers, and create a sustainable business model for RTD. I'm also excited about mentoring and teaching students and employees on how to thrive and at the same time function peacefully and positively along the way. So I'm just going to leave you with some of the principles and beliefs I have proven to have worked in my life. Everyone's journey is different. Our values are not the same, and our priorities are a function of where we are in life and our own circumstances. Each of us is unique. Our calling is different, our destiny is individualized, but there are common principles of honesty, integrity, credibility that I believe are applicable to all. So let me share with you a couple of slides. Can you see the screen?
We can.
Okay, great. Thank you. So on a personal level, define your success and happiness and set your own goals. We define and measure our own success regardless of what anyone else thinks. I talked about our uniqueness and individual destiny. Focus on your ladder or your own boat will leave you as you are busy engaging and observing somebody else's journey. Number two, no victim mentality, just a victor mentality. Just a reminder that the world does not revolve around us. We can stay in one corner and sulk for as long as we want, and the world will not change because of that. Life is not all a bed of roses. If you fall, create an opportunity behind that fall. Learn from it and get back on your feet stronger and wiser. And then there are things we can control and things we cannot control. Accept the things you cannot control, nothing we can do about it, but compensate for them by doing well on things within our means, ability, and authority. Do not murmur forever and convince yourself that you could have done better if bad things did not occur. Yes, things would have been different for me if I had a money tree. I wish upon a star. So much for that wishful thinking. And if you have the luxury of choosing your career, by all means, follow your heart. For others like me who were pushed into it, do our darnest. A lot of what we do can be a lot better and feel a lot more rewarding if our perspectives are positive. The next is fundamental. In my mind, I believe in the power of goodness. I believe that we need to work on ourselves first before any positive results can be generated. The ultimate task of leadership is self-leadership. If we're not competent, we can train. If we're not honest, we cannot expect honesty from others. If we don't have integrity, how can we expect to be treated with respect and integrity? And watch out for the danger of sense of entitlement. That feeling corrupts our mindset and may get us in trouble. The next bullet is very powerful, half empty or half full. Our perspectives, whether positive or negative, will produce the results that are consistent with our thoughts. Talk about self-fulfilling prophecy. So why not err on the side of positivity? Negative thoughts create excuses. Positive thoughts give room for creativity, energy, excitement, hope, satisfaction, and peace. Now, this is something that everyone knows, but sometimes we need to be reminded of. Surround yourself with people who will wish for you what they wish for themselves. We have heard birds of the same feather flock together. Why not enjoy the company of people who will bring out the best in you because they truly wish for you, truly wish the best for you as they wish for themselves? The next bullet is about taking charge of your career and personal development. It's nobody's fault that we fail but ours. It is to no one's credit that we succeed but ours because of our conviction, resiliency, hard work, and investment in ourselves. For the most part, whatever our role is in the organization, no information is a secret. There are always ways to find information to train ourselves and make us a better person and professional. We interview people. We research, we say, we Google it. The power of Google. It has become an action word. It's a verb now, right? The power of network, especially with fellow women. And then in leadership, walking the talk as a leader. The culture we're setting for our organization must be personified by the entire leadership team so that the entire employee group will embrace it. It's a big responsibility because we have people relying on our leadership. If we believe in the values we're trying to promote as a leader, let's lead by example. Management courage. In leadership, we need to have the courage to do the right thing and say the right thing the right way, whether delivering good or bad news. Unfortunately, we have to deliver bad news. When we have to hold employees accountable and have to deliver those messages critical of their performance, we're really helping them improve. Pretending it's not happening is not doing the employee or the organization a favor. Now, the other side of the coin, if we are the recipient of these criticisms, it may sting a little bit, right? Because we have our ego. We may sulk and fret, but we should not dwell on this emotion for a long time. Let's start understanding the criticism and figure out a way to address our deficiencies and improve our performance. That's how we grow. I remember when I was the deputy CEO and CFO, my boss told me something like, Gloria, if you don't know the answer to this question, who would? Human nature kicked in. I was defensive. And in my mind, who the heck do you think you are? I am a CPA and you're not. And I know what I'm doing. But after a while, I reflected on that message and asked myself, why did I not know the answer? I should know. And if I don't know the answer, who would know? Right? I was the chief financial officer. And that experience and attitude allowed me to grow in my profession even more because I became more inquisitive, more comprehensive, and made sure I know the answers to fundamental questions. Delivering bad news as a leader requires a lot of courage, but the message should not be there either. As a leader, we need to be able to present some solutions. Decision-making. Hard decisions, good decisions. Sometimes they're not popular decisions. It takes a lot of courage to make the right decision and do the right things. Some people are privy to the information and some are not, right? Some decisions will please others and hurt some people. Some will agree and some will disagree. The worst thing that can happen is not to make a decision for fear of criticisms and dissension. That's why it's important that every decision has a purpose, supported by credible information and a good assessment of risks. The next quote is one of my favorite quotes I heard from one of my mentors. It really resonated with me. I'm going to read it. People will say how great you are. If you start believing this, that's when you get in trouble. The higher the authority, the more we should be humble and grounded. As a leader of a public agency, I always remind my colleagues and even myself about fiduciary responsibility. The highest level of trust, we are entrusted in public office. We need to exercise a great deal of prudence and care in relaying information and making decisions. Now, the next bullet is a personal strategy. It is so empowering, in my opinion, to focus on the goals and not the barriers. This is in line with the perspective of making the most of the things you can control and not dwell too much on the things you cannot control. In my opinion, this approach stimulates a creative thought process that allows positive results that may be achieved perhaps in an untraditional way, and it's okay. Now, lonely at the top? One of the presenters under this speaker series, I heard, said, it's isolating to be in a leadership role. It is absolutely true. The way I deal with it is just by sticking to my principle of doing the right thing. Now, the right thing is a function of what is needed to be done either immediately or long-term, according to the goals of the organization for its customers, employees, stakeholders, and business. That's the best I can do. And if I will dread or avoid doing that, I'm not fit to be in my position. So last but not least is belief in the mission of your organization, whether you are an employee or self-employed. That mission should be meaningful to you so that it can generate a higher level of energy, excitement, fun, and a sense of focus. If you don't believe in it, that's not the appropriate place for you. You must find your place in the sun where you can function with meaning, so that the best in you will show. So, being a female leader should not be, and it has never been, a liability or a barrier. Use the blessedness of being a woman and advancing yourself to wherever your destiny and whatever your purpose is. Behind our femininity is wisdom. Behind our gentleness is strength and conviction. We are created with a lot of uniqueness in us. And even individually, we need to find out that special gift that makes us different from the rest. If you notice, the principles I have shared with you are about managing ourselves, controlling our emotion and perspectives, cultivating a positive attitude, making good choices about the people we should surround us with, setting our own goals, defining our own success, taking charge of our career and self-development. It is because we are in charge and responsible for ourselves. We bear the consequences of the choices we make, whether positive or negative. It starts from us, and we are in charge of us. So we need to make the most of us. So my final message, since I'm in public transit and life is so precious and short, I want to share with you my signature slide. Have fun and enjoy the ride. Thank you for the opportunity.
Excellent. Well, I think we'll go ahead and start taking questions from the crowd. Thank you so much, Gloria. That was quite insightful. I'm going to definitely be saving some of those quotes for future reference.
After this, I'm without energy anymore because I put my energy.
I know. You're just done. You're not going to answer any questions. What I would actually like to ask myself is, could you share a time that you made a big mistake and how you recovered from it? And how was maybe a learning lesson
Yes,
for you?
I had a lot of mistakes. One was when I came here in from the Philippines, I was surrounded by people who were not good people, that really were gossipers, right? And so having come from a foreign country, I thought, oh my goodness, this is the culture, or maybe I should get along. And then I allowed myself to be a part of that group. And I'm just very fortunate that I was mentored by somebody, and I've been blessed to have been mentored by a lot of wise people, or a lot of people with wisdom that gave me an advice, and I took that to heart because, you know, I really wanted to be true to myself, true to the people I work with, true to the organization. And so I was able to snap out of it and got out of it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It looks like we have someone who'd like to be spotlighted. So one moment here while I grab Christina.
Am I?
Hi, Christina.
Hi, Gloria.
There you are.
She has a beautiful voice. Just want to let you know that. Christina is a part of a band, right? Are you still, Christina?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. I need to watch you. Thank you. I need to watch you.
Thanks, Gloria. Well, wonderful speech. But what I'd like to just share with everyone is I had the pleasure of working under Gloria for 2 years when I worked at Regional Transit and as the manager of HR there. And you're seeing little inklings of it, but Gloria, I want you to talk, if you can, for a moment about just your humor. Because if you know Gloria, you are on the floor all the time. And I think her ability, I'm just going to say my opinion is, you know, to be firm, to be all the things that she illustrated in her presentation is 100% true and genuine to her. But her humor and her personality, I think, are what just bring that whole place together. And people just, she's like a magnet. And that is what one thing that a great takeaway that I took away from Gloria is just that ability to be all of those things at once. So Gloria, if you can, what is your take on just the humor? Because, you know, if we don't laugh, we're going to cry sometime.
Right. No, I don't want you to cry. I don't like this to be a very depressing presentation. And I use this joke in line with really reviewing your work, right, for accuracy. And so everybody sends text messages, and you know how the phone is wiser and more intelligent than us, that it changes the word, right? And so one day I was telling my boss that somebody called in sick, right? And he changed the word to suck. Somebody called in suck. I caught that, so I did change that. I changed it, so you know it sucks that somebody called in sick, but that's not what I was trying to convey. And so, and then there were times when I was texting somebody, dear friend, it has become dead friend, deaf friend, until I went to the deer. But I caught that. So one day, I was on another building, and my office in another building, and I was going to text my administrative assistant, say, please lock my office. You know what it changed it to? Please lick my office. And so I told my boss, Donna, can you imagine if your boss would ask you to lick her office? And so Donna said, well, good lick to you on that. And so that has been my tagline, right? Good lick to you. So that's really, you know, in a lot of things that we do, there are like just funny things behind it. And when sometimes you go get serious about something, but then, you know, looking back, it has become a humor for you. And so that's one of the reasons why we need to really change, to really edit our work and make sure that they're accurate and they're fine. So the rest of them is probably not for public consumption, Christina.
There we go, remove the spotlight there. And then I have another question. You're coming your way. What is the best advice you've been given, Gloria?
You know, the best advice about people, right? Not a lot of people will wish for you what they wish for themselves. And I say that in the selection of the people that you will decide to work for you. If you are going to create a team, you should have a common mission. And therefore, that has to be incorporated into the selection process. That's why I'm very picky when it comes to hiring people, because it's not the brightest, it's not the most intelligent, it's not the one that the most, you know, astute of them all, but it's somebody that's the best fit for the organization, who embraces the value and mission of the organization, and also who will wish for you what they wish for themselves. So as a leader, you're going to be supported by the right people, because they would want you to succeed, because they want to succeed themselves, right? So that has been one of the probably one advice that has resonated with me for a while. And that was probably given to me more than 15 years ago in my career. That was shared with me by one of my valued mentors.
Excellent, thank you. Another question from Pam is, public transit tends to be perceived as having more male employees. As a leader in this industry, what advice can you give those that are working in this environment who are female or identify as
well,
female?
you know what? Show the world how competent you are. And you cannot just grab the opportunity and start preparing when the opportunity arises. You have to use whatever position you have to start, you know, training yourself, so that when the opportunity comes up, you are already prepared for it. And participate in the show your management team that you're interested in the organization. Participate in their events. And you know, the spirit of teamwork is very important. Your ability to communicate well and be able to communicate with the employees across the board is very, very important. If you're a team player, if you're able to to demonstrate good interpersonal relationships, those are good assets that will make you known, right? Be well-rounded, know the business. And this is one of the weaknesses that we have, even in our organization, is, you know, silo approach to your function. If you really want your career to be meaningful, you have to know the business, and you have to be able to relate what you do to the entire business, so that your feeling is you're contributing something, you know the meaning of what you do, and it feels rewarding. And that perspective, that broad perspective, will allow you to advance, because you can connect the dots within your organization.
Excellent, love that, thank you. And then we have a question from Jane, who is one of our committee members. She asked, if you could do something different in your career pathway, or if you could have done something different in your career pathway, what would it have been and why?
You know, I had good mentors, but you know, it's outside of my control that I was not able to meet with them early on in my career. I would have equipped myself with a lot of information that would have made myself better. And that's the reason why I want speaking before young people, because the longer they know about these principles, The earlier they know about these principles, the longer they can benefit from it and enjoy those principles. That's what I didn't do. I just kind of went along with the wave, you know, and you probably will not notice I'm a shy person. I'm really shy. They say you hide it very well, but I did not value the network early on. I was exposed to a lot of network earlier on in my career, and in my mind, right? But the value of network is just unbelievable. It's just very valuable that you can really call people and they're going to be very willing to share information with you. That's what I didn't do. I did not take care of my network earlier on in my career and didn't equip myself with a lot of materials that would have developed me personally and professionally.
Sure. And how did you go about building that network once you realized you could capitalize on that?
Well, you know, I started building that because the moment I realized, hey, I could have called this person, I could have called this person. Now I started, you know, building my network, and I started teaching. And I teach for the University of the Pacific. It's a certificate for program for transit management. I never fail to remind them to value the people around them. Because in transit, it's a collaborative industry. We don't have to start from the beginning. We share information. And so I told them, don't be a hero. Don't think that if you think about something that you have to start from the beginning. You have network. You have a network of transit professionals. Call them. And if they don't have it, they'll be willing to refer you to the person that knows the answers. And so value that network. And then one thing that I tell them too is, you know, if you must copy any document from any organization, just remember to change the logo and change the name of the organization. So, you know.
Love that. Another question for you. How do you balance such a high profile job along with taking care of any of your personal needs or priorities?
It's a lot of time management, you know, and I said we have individual priorities and prioritizing based on your individual needs. I am very blessed to have, you know, kids that are very independent even when they were going to school. But let me tell you that when I was already the deputy CEO and chief financial officer also when my kids were in elementary, I was able to watch all their games. So you can really do it. It's how bad you want to do it. And there is a way to make up for the time lost at work. The work didn't suffer because keep in mind, I was the second in command. So I had the big responsibilities, but I was able to go travel with them when they played volleyball, basketball, you name it. I was able to attend their award ceremonies. I was able to attend parents' meetings, and I was able to do my job here effectively. So it's how bad you want it. You have to prioritize, which means that I cannot clean the house every week, right? I cannot cook every day. And so there are just some things that you have to give up. So examine your priorities.
Oh, that's awesome. Any other advice you want to give to any up-and-comers in your industry or in other industries that are predominantly male-focused industries?
Sure. If you're not having fun doing what you're doing, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. It has to be meaningful. It needs to be fun, because having that feeling of fun gives you excitement. When you're excited about what you do, you become more creative, you become better, you become more patient too, because things, you know, don't always turn out to be good, but you become more patient because you love what you're doing. That's why I say, if you have an opportunity to follow your heart, follow your heart. If you're pushed into something, you know, I remember the ABBA song, I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. There's really good in a lot of things that we see. Now it's a matter of perspective, and that we can control. That's why I always say self-leadership. Ultimate task is self-leadership and self-management.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much
for
your presentation and addressing all of these questions. We have went through them all, so I'm going to now kick it over to Jane to close us out for this session.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Well, hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. And Gloria, what a fantastic and inspiring speech. You know, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. So I'm Jane Steinkamp. I'm Assistant Super Ed Services here at the County Office of Education, and I'm also a part of the planning team for this group. And so I wanted to just highlight a few things that really struck me and stuck out. I love the comment about things happening for a reason and that the dots eventually connect for the events that are written to actually happen. I love that piece of insight. I love the fear of poverty raised the competitiveness in you, and that you were motivated and driven by different things at different stages in your life. And I think that's really critical for all leaders to look at what is motivating me at this point, and how do I make that motivation match my goals at work. In your common principles piece, no victim mentality, but the victor mentality, such a strong statement. I think that women often struggle with not making themselves a victim. So that's a great encouragement statement, and learning to get back up on your feet. Focus on your ladder. The fact that people need to understand that they need a ladder, let alone to focus on it. So that was a great comment. And taking charge of your own career and personal development, such great advice. And of course, the thing that you ended with, the ultimate task of leadership is self-leadership. You know, from the organizational perspective, I love the idea of avoiding a siloed approach. And if you want to be meaningful to your organization, you need to know the organization and understand it so that you can be meaningful to it. And also, of course, just as a woman who has always worked in leadership roles, you know, examining your priorities and balancing home and work. And that comment that you made, you know, one of the best pieces of advice that a male mentor of mine gave me early on was hire a housekeeper. You make enough money now, hire a housekeeper. You cannot spend your weekends cleaning your house when you want to spend them with your children, and you'll never get that balance. It was such a simple great piece of advice, and it made a huge difference because I could acknowledge that I couldn't do it all, and I was given that permission. So that was great. And then two comments that you made that connected the work that we're doing, you know, with this group, this women's leadership group, was that about the value of networking, which is really the purpose of these calls and opportunities that we're trying to give to women in our community. Is just to show a network of strong women that are out there that we can all connect with and learn from, and have as leaders. And then also, I love the comment about surrounding yourself with people who wish for you what they would wish for themselves. You know, as women in particular, I think that's a powerful statement to set up a culture of embracing each other's successes rather than a culture of competitiveness and cutthroat behavior, you know, because if one of us rises, we all rise. And sometimes I think we get put into a position of being competitive with each other. And we don't need to be, you know, we don't need to be. We just need to surround ourselves with people who wish for us what we would wish for ourselves. And that was a beautiful, beautiful statement. So, you know, Gloria, thank you again for your words of wisdom and for your insight and your time today, your gift of time. And to everyone who's on this call, you know, we hope you continue to join us for our next series and our next session. And hope you begin to realize that this is a network of strong women that we want you to connect with. Oh, and okay, thank you, Chelsea, you're on it. Dr. Ellen June from the president of Stan State, and I think she's even on the call today, if I think I saw her. She's Wednesday, September 1st, and that one's going to be at 5:30. We are wondering about whether this is a better time for folks. The lunchtime did get quite a few more participants than some of the evening ones, so we're going to talk about that a little bit, but thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.
And there is Gloria's contact information. Thank you for providing that. And that concludes today's speaker series. So we appreciate that you tuned in, and we look forward to seeing you September 1st.